If he had offered you a cabinet level position, he did?
He did any number of times. He offered me labor secretary twice. He offered me Homeland Security secretary. He offered me White House chief of staff in 2018, and I turned them all down.
Were any of them tempting?
Chief of staff was tempting just because it's chief of staff, right?
Yeah.
But then I thought you're chief of staff to Donald Trump, which means you're really not chief of staff because Jared Kushner's chief of staff. Yeah. So
you have a great relationship with that family, though.
Well,
let's be honest about your relationship with the Kushner family.
Well, let's just say I'm maybe the only person in America who
put his dad in jail.
Well, I'm definitely the only person in America who put his dad in jail.
Yeah.
And one of the only people in America who have any title or position who were willing to tell the truth about them.
What is the truth about them?
Reprehensible people.
All?
Amoral. Look, I don't know his brother. But I know the father, the mother, and Jared. And
Jared too. Why is how is Jared reprehensible? I don't know. Tell.
He is the father with a softer voice.
Yeah.
He's the same. There's no difference between he and his dad.
And people who don't know
that. He would admit that.
But people who don't know, who's his father? I mean,
the ambassador to France.
Yes. Yeah. But tell us who he is as a person.
Well, his father was at the time when I prosecuted him in 2004, the second richest man in New Jersey. You know, only David Tepper was richer in New Jersey than Charlie Kushner. Mm-hmm. And we were investigating him for tax fraud and for FEC fraud. And by FEC fraud, Federal Election Commission donation fraud, what he was doing was as most real estate guys do, they have a multitude of partnerships. They don't have one company. They maybe have 100 that own each individual piece of property. He would write checks from each one of those properties at large numbers, even though he had other partners in those properties, the other partners being his brother and his sister. And he would forge their names onto attributions for those donations so he could make larger donations and make himself more important with the political people he was donating to. That's against the law. And so we called the sister in to the grand jury to ask her whether she had ever made any of these donations, which she had not. Well, when he found out that his sister willingly went into the grand jury, what he did was he hired a prostitute to seduce his sister's husband, videotaped it. And then on the day of his sister's son's engagement party, an engagement party that he was going to attend, he had the videotape delivered to his sister's house so she could see her husband having sex with someone else.
I mean,
and he did so anonymously.
We've all been there. I mean, you thought the crumb cake was bad. Yeah. Jeez, that's amazing.
Yeah. So, so the story goes that the sister came to us when she got the videotape, and
she knew what was happening. Obviously,
well, she thought she knew. I mean, it was delivered anonymously from a place in Canada, and but she said to me, "This is my brother. This is Charlie," and I said, "How do you know it's Charlie?" Now her husband is sitting there. I mean, you want to talk about a beaten dog, right?
Yeah.
He's sitting there, and she says, "How do I know it's Charlie?" She goes, "Charlie plays on people's weaknesses." She put her hand on her husband's shoulder and she said, "Billy has a weakness. Charlie played on it." And she pointed to the videotape. And so I have the husband sitting there, and I then make the husband tell the whole story. The story was that he would go to the same diner every morning for breakfast in New Jersey, in Somerville, called the Time to Eat Diner. And
guess where I'm going for breakfast tomorrow?
And one morning, this very attractive young blonde woman came to his booth and said, "I hate to bother you, sir, but my car's broken down. It's been from out of state. It's been towed to the dealership to get worked on. I'm staying at a hotel down the street here.
It's a Penthouse Forum letter.
Could you please give me a massage? Could you give me a ride?"
Yeah.
So he says, "Okay." So he gives her a ride.
By the way, my weakness too. I want to help out a woman.
You were the one who was saying you were willing to forgive war crimes.
Yeah, but also if her car got towed.
Give a ride. It's nothing, right?
She's in a tough situation, this prostitute.
So now, to be fair to him, he did not know she was a prostitute.
Is it better or worse that he didn't know?
I don't know, but I just want to be accurate.
Yeah, just want to be accurate. Yeah.
So he then took her to her motel, which, again, because you can't make it up, the name of the motel was the Red Bull Inn.
Oh, yeah.
God.
Yeah.
So he
got his
takes
wings.
her to the Red Bull Inn. She invites him upstairs. Interestingly, he says no. He declines. And now she's a little like, now what do I do? Because I have a job to do here that I'm being paid for. $25,000, by the way. And she says, well, look, she goes, if my car's ready tomorrow morning, and if you're at that same diner, do you think you could take me to the dealership? And he said, well, I don't know if I'm going to be there or whatever. He's hemming and hawing. And so she says, well, here's my cell phone number. And can I have yours? So he gave her his cell phone number. Next morning, he's there at the diner having breakfast, and she calls and says, can you come and pick me up? My car's ready and whatever. And he goes, okay.
He's had 24 hours to think about it.
And by the way, a very resourceful prostitute. Yeah. When
$25K on the line.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
Yeah.
So she gets him to come there, and she goes, by the way, I'm in room whatever, 210 or whatever it was. And so she goes, I'm almost ready. Could you just come up and get me? So then he went up.
And then what happened you saw, because it was on video.
I never watched the video.
Why not?
Because I wanted to always be able to say I never watched the video.
Yeah.
You know,
You're a better person than me.
My prosecutors watched the video.
A lot.
Apparently a number of times. But
we're going to freeze it right there.
And they kept saying to me, you got to watch it. I don't need to watch it. You guys tell me what went on, and then I can go from there.
Doesn't drink, doesn't watch Kushner porn. You're a good man.
Watch Kushner porn?
Hell no.
Okay, thank
you. Depends.
Thank you.
Although I am questioning.
And he's not a direct Kushner, to be fair to him. He's
married in. But I am questioning the prostitute because she couldn't get him on the first time. So maybe you wouldn't want to watch it.
Look, maybe you wouldn't. But I've seen her.
Yeah.
And she's attractive.
Yeah, okay.
So they videotape it, and as a public service announcement. Do you do public service announcements here?
Sure, this whole thing is a public service announcement.
Let me just remind everybody out there.
Yeah.
The camera was hidden inside the alarm clock.
Oh,
wow! So that's a spy job there.
Okay, so
when you're at the motel,
so just so you know,
yeah.
if you're going to engage in activity like this and want to take note, unplug the alarm clock and put it in the closet.
Yeah.
And
I think he's 80 on that betting right
by the
now.
way, it's very sexy beginning.
No. This is a public service announcement.
Let me unplug the alarm clock.
This is an attempt to prevent crime.
Yeah. You're
right? That's what I'm trying to do.
You're stopping crime.
Yeah, I'm stopping crime before it starts. And so nature took its course.
Yeah.
And I said to him, okay, and I broke the man code here. I want to admit that.
Yeah, okay.
Because the fifth column needs that kind of
honesty. We need dishonesty.
I broke the man code because when he was done, I turned to him and I said, now you said that she gave you, now this happened 6 months earlier. I said, you said she gave you her cell phone number.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah. I said, do you still have it? He just stared down at the table and started shaking his head. He goes, yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Of course he does.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. I said, I need that. So one of the helpful things that they did on the videotape was they date and time stamped it. So we got her number. We subpoenaed her cell phone records for that day. Well, right after the tape goes off and he leaves, she makes a call to another number. So then we subpoenaed those records. They're connected to a private investigator in Schenectady, New York. Then we get his records. Right after she calls him, he calls a phone that is registered to the East Orange, New Jersey Police Department. So we call the East Orange PD and say, who is assigned this cell phone, the PD? Turns out it's the private investigator's brother. We get those records, his call to Charlie Kushner. And it turns out that he provides private security to Charlie Kushner, the cop.
Did the cop?
He's off duty.
Did he go to jail for this, or did he prosecute?
He cooperated. He cooperated with the government and joined Team America. As
he joined Team America,
and helped us with the prosecution. So we had,
and that man is now the ambassador to France.
He's now the ambassador to Albania, the cop, and the ambassador to France is. But so we had him. I mean, it's like in baseball lingo, tinker's to ever's the chance.
Yeah, exactly.
We had the connection, and we then executed search warrants on the private investigator, the cop, and the prostitute. The private investigator lawyered up immediately and said, I'm not telling you guys anything. Go to hell. The cop folded immediately. said, yep, I did it. Charlie Kushner asked me to do it. He completely gave it up. I'm sitting there as these things are being executed, getting the reports in, because you do it all at one time so nobody can tip anybody else off. And the bureau calls me and says, the prostitute won't let us into her apartment. And I'm like, you have a search warrant.
$25,000.
And you have a search warrant. Like, knock the door down. Like, get in there. He's like, it's a really nice apartment. It's on the Upper East Side of New York. We really don't want to knock the door down. I go, well, put a couple of hundreds under the door. I don't know what you have to do, but get in the place.
They care about the door of the nice apartment?
They apparently that day they did.
Wow.
And so they eventually, she let them in, and they showed her a picture of Charles Kushner, and you know this man. She goes, yeah, he's the guy who hired me.
Yeah. And so that obviously in this backstory, which weirdly a lot of people don't know. I mean, people in the political world.
20 years ago.
It's 20 years ago. But obviously you are the head of the transition in 2016. There's going to be some interfacing with Jared Kushner, I'd imagine, right?
Well, much to his chagrin, yes.
Yeah. And that's just unsaid.
No.
He says things to you.
Oh, no. The day that Trump was naming me, he went into Trump's office and said, you can't do this. And made the argument against me in front of me.
In front of you?
Oh, yeah.
And what was the argument?
I'm immoral. I'm a bad person.
And you're sitting there.
Oh, yeah. And said that, it should have never been prosecuted. It wasn't a crime. It was something that should have been handled by the rabbis.
Oh,
because it was a family dispute.
Oh. That's going to fuel some anti-Semitism right there.
And I was thinking to myself, like, I didn't know that Title 18 of the U.S. Code was under the rabbi's jurisdiction.
It's rabbinical code,
but apparently it wasn't. And I just sat there and didn't say anything. And finally, Trump looked at me and said, are you going to say anything to defend yourself? I said, no. I said, I want to defend myself to him.
Yeah.
Doing my job. And by the way, I looked at him and said, by the way, your father pled guilty to all 18 counts.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Look, there's some credit to Trump in this that he said, all right, fine, get out of here, Jared.
Anyway.
Yeah.
He named me anyway, but then of course he fired me.
Yeah.
Because Jared just continued to pound me.
But that was Jared, you think, that precipitated that firing?
Oh, I know it was Jared.
Okay.
Because both Donald Trump and Steve Bannon told me it was Jared.
And Steve Bannon's a chatty guy too.
He happens to be.
He happens to be.
And so, like the relationship with the Kushner family. Now, who knew, by the way, let's remember, in 2004, Jared Kushner, I think, was in college at the time. Or soon to be out of college, and who knew he was going to marry Ivanka Trump? Mm-hmm. Like when you think about how that all went, you prosecute this guy. He was a prominent guy, but never thought it would have any impact on my career other than having done the case. Well, then he winds up marrying Ivanka Trump. Donald Trump winds up running for president. Donald Trump makes me the chairman of his transition, but the entire behind the scenes thing is that the son-in-law is trying to, off me the entire time.
And now we have one of the worst ambassadors to France in history. Like he's constantly causing diplomatic rows in France by weighing in on domestic affairs.
Oh, yeah, I saw that recently.
Criminal affairs.
He was called to task for that recently.
And look, I think the single biggest reason Jared got into the Trump White House was to ensure that his father would be pardoned. Mission accomplished.
Do you give him any credit for the Abraham Accords?
Sure, I give him credit for a lot of different things.
Yeah.
He's a smart guy. I mean, Jared's not a dummy by any stretch. He's a smart guy, and he's got some skills. I mean, not nearly as many as maybe he thinks, but he's got some. And I think he had an agenda. And I don't mean that even in a negative way. I mean, in the Trump White House, that's actually a positive. It makes him an outlier. Yeah. He had an agenda from a policy perspective of things that he thought was important. The Second Step Act, right? I mean, I totally was in favor of that, and I helped him get it passed and worked on it because I think second chances are important, and he, of course, that all came from his father.
Yeah.
That was what drove him in that regard. Was
most
watching his father in prison.
Most Republican criminal justice reform comes from people who